Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Cool Sports Chat episode 50, the Big 50. Halfway to 100, a century of these. And today, I guess, special occasion for 50, it was a national championship. So at least we can celebrate Ohio State, or at least on fans for a little bit last night. It was Notre Dame won. But actually, in reality, Ohio State did win the national championship. So
That they did.
yeah, we'll be talking that. We'll also be talking the better weekend of football as far as the playoffs go. The last weekend was much better. I know maybe not the results everybody was looking for. Obviously, you get this far, fan bases are going for their teams, but I think as far as competition wise, much better than the wild card weekend. Personally,
Oh yeah, just
David.
if you're just a fan of football, great
Mhm.
games. Yeah,
Ye- Yeah, I thought. I mean, outside of maybe Detroit. Um,
that was just a shocker.
yeah, it was a shocker. I mean, I guess you could have seen Washington winning, but it's in the way they won it.
Because I mean, not to take away from Washington, I think they played a fantastic game, but I think Detroit lost that game a little more than Washington won that game.
Yeah, because if you take away what is it, the three interceptions, one fumble, I mean
Insane.
that's a different game. You
Yeah,
know.
turnovers gone. Detroit had it in the bag, but I mean, and again, not to downplay Washington. They are on fire. I think they played a fantastic game. They helped cause those turnovers and everything. So major props to them. But Detroit definitely played a sloppy game and they paid for it.
Yeah, and you wonder what this spells for Jared Goff. We already know, obviously, Ben Johnson's going to Chicago. I had to put that up there. It sounds
Interestingly, that was kind of a shocker too.
Yeah, I was shocked. I'm happy with what happened. I think he'll do good. We saw what he's done with Jared Goff. I think Caleb Williams, not to take any away from Jared Goff, who I do think is a good quarterback, but I think Caleb Williams is much more talented. So I'm
I think
excited.
he's got that raw talent, and I think getting a good coach on him early like this in his development, uh, Chicago's going to be a force in the next couple years.
Yeah, so good there. I did think, though, much like I think you, me, and Brennan, everyone, he was going to Vegas. It just kind of felt like that's the odds. Tom Brady was really high on him.
And it
But I,
seemed like McCarthy was going to Chicago. They even chartered the jet to get him out there and everything. Like, I wonder how those talks dissolved because I think that they were like, "This is our guy," and apparently, whatever happened out there was not their guy.
right? Yeah, and that leaves like the question for McCarthy. I know Pete Carroll's another one where now I guess maybe Pete Carroll's going to interview for the Raiders job. So is McCarthy maybe New Orleans bound?
We could see. I don't. I mean, and McCarthy. I mean, he's taken years off before. He may not pursue another coaching job right now. Maybe with that one, he's just like, take a break. Who knows?
Right. Well, and also for Detroit, we're talking about like they've lost one coordinator. It sounds like the Jets are really high on trying not to let Aaron Glenn out of the building today. And honestly, it sounds like he kind of wants to go. And obviously, you want to get that promotion, get that head coaching position because
Of
you
course, even
never
if it's a
know.
team that's in the garbage, you want to be the one to turn it around.
Yeah, because there's only 32 of these opportunities. And if you're one of those, you got to feel pretty lucky. So, yeah, big changes coming for Detroit. Obviously, NFC East represented behind David because also Philadelphia as well going. I mean, so, David, how does it feel having the NFC East being represented as well as two former Dallas Cowboy coordinators in the
I
championship
mean,
game?
it feels great having our division there and everything, but it's bittersweet because it's definitely two of our rivals. And this means whoever goes to the Super Bowl, win or lose, we're playing the Super Bowl at least twice next year, playing against them as always. Um, I mean, it's again great for the NFC East as a whole, but it hurts a little bit as a Cowboy fan having them there. And on top of that, like you mentioned, having it be two guys that were here in Dallas that gladly would have taken the head coaching position if offered to them. I know for a fact Dan Quinn wanted it because he even stuck around an extra year under pretty much a promise that he was basically going to get it. And Jerry still wouldn't pull the trigger. Went to Washington. Look what he's done with his first year. It just, it's always, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But I feel like if he could have taken over last year at Dallas, I think we'd be looking at a much different story across the board.
Well, and so Kellen Moore, obviously, he was OC there at one point. It sounds like maybe he's going to be interviewed by Dallas
He
for
could,
head
and
coaching.
I liked Kellen Moore as OC. He did do a pretty decent job. He had some faults, but I chalk that up to him being young because this is still early in his career. He'd be one of the youngest head coaches, I think, if he took the position. So good for him. He is somebody that could stay for a long time if he does well. He at least has some experience and knows what Jerry's like. So maybe that's a benefit for him. I don't know if that's the best though. I think we might need somebody with a little more experience that's willing to stand up to him and be like, if I'm the coach, I'm the coach, and really be firm enough to say we need to do it this way. But we'll see. I think Kellen Moore has potential. I think he's got the talent. I think someday he is going to be a fantastic coach, but I don't know if he has the experience yet to do that. I don't know if he's quite ready for the job. And I hate being the team that's just going to be the experienced team. I want it to be a team that is going to go somewhere. Do you know what I mean? I don't really want to be somebody's building block at this point. I think we need to find somebody that's going to get the job done.
Yeah. Well, and do you think Jerry's going to be looking for a young upstart coach or a name coach?
You never know with Jerry Jones. I'd like to say he's going to go with whatever's best for the team because either one of those is great options. If you're going with somebody young, upstart that's got a lot of potential and new ideas, that can grow you into an entire legacy. We could have a dynasty going. But if you go for somebody with experience, they may be able to get the job done quicker, give you a couple good years, kind of thing. Um, Unfortunately, with Jerry Jones involved, I feel like it's going to go for whatever makes the most headlines, whatever is gonna put Dallas in the spotlight, and that's why I was very scared about the Sanders rumors that he'd bring old Dion in because the newspapers would light up with that all year, regardless of how he actually did. Uh, Fortunately, I think cooler heads have prevailed there. I think Dion doesn't want to come here. I think he said pretty firmly he's staying in Chicago. I mean, sorry, Colorado, and that's probably for the best. Um, so I don't know if I had to guess, I think Jerry will probably edge a little bit towards an older named coach. That just seems to be kind of his motif throughout the years. He's always gone with somebody with some experience under their belt, a little older. But I'd love to see somebody new, somebody that's got some fresh ideas to bring to it that can really change this team, move things around. Because whoever's coming in is basically going to get to not quite start over because you're kind of stuck with Dak and a couple of other things, but you kind of getting a fresh everything. There's not a lot established here that anybody's going to be really mad about you starting over with. So it could be an interesting playground for somebody. I wish somebody like Mike Tomlin would want to leave the Steelers and come. I think that's kind of the great, kind of that mid range, like has definitely some experience, but isn't to the point where you're like, oh, I thought he was going to retire. Maybe somebody in that realm would be best with that kind of mid level, but we'll see where it goes.
Well, and speaking of headlines, I know a certain UNC football coach has not signed his contract.
I did hear that. And I know they're actually kind of scared that he hasn't.
Oh, David froze. David.
Oh, oh,
Okay,
hello.
we can hear him. We can see you
You
again.
Yeah, everybody disappeared. I'm sorry. Yeah, I would love. I mean, Belichick would be interesting. It would definitely be a headline grabber, but I don't think he'd stick around that long. I don't think he's interested in working all that hard at this point. Hence why he took the college job potentially, and they're offering him the moon to take that position. Like it'll be a much easier job than the NFL. He's getting a lot of money. He gets to completely, basically structure the entire program however he wants. So I think he'll be very comfortable doing some college ball for a little bit and making TV appearances and things. I'm not going to say 100% it won't happen, but I think it would take a lot for Jerry to coax him into a high profile NFL job over the cushy college one personally.
Well, and like so, when we watched the Texas game in the playoffs, there was a ton of Texas fans there, and they were very much in the mindset that Ewers was going to enter the portal and go to UNC. Like, do you see? And obviously, we know how that turned out. But do you see any like big name quarterbacks being lured to UNC? Maybe.
I think it'll help them. I don't know of anybody in those like really top positions, but I think it'll be a much more appealing place to go with Belichick. I mean, Bill Belichick shows up at your door and says, "Come play for me." It's real hard to say no.
Right.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, that's a college kid's dream. I mean, regardless of what school, you're gonna give him a chance. I mean, I'm not even a huge Tom Brady fan, but you can't deny that he's probably the greatest there's been so far. Are you really gonna say no to the coach that helped develop that? Like, yeah, you're going to get a lot of attention. And if you guys do even some, I mean, because UNC does not have a great record. So even if you get a moderate year, they're going to say that you vastly improved and you're going to have a lot of eyes on you all season. So as long as you do a decent job, you're setting yourself up pretty well. So, of course, Ewers, we all know is going to the regular draft, all that. But I could maybe see somebody like what Carson Beck, how he was decided to stick around from the year and into the portal, right?
Yeah, he's back in the portal.
See somebody like that, I could see that UNC would be appealing if Belichick wanted him. I do think if he's taken the job, though, Belichick's probably going to go with the quarterback that'll stick around for a couple years, something to kind of start that program, kind of growing it. So he's probably going to go for somebody younger. But I do think that it's hard to say no. I think that they'll give him enough money and name recognition together to probably influence some people that wouldn't have looked twice at UNC before that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know if Beck personality wise and off the field kind of
Yeah,
stuff
probably would not.
fits Belichick. Yeah, yeah. So it'll be
And again,
interesting
with
to see
Tom
where he
Brady,
goes.
their personalities, I heard, did kind of clash towards the end. And that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of part of why Tom ended up going and such. So I think after dealing with all that, Belichick's definitely looking for a quarterback that's not going to question anything. That's going to be like, I got it, coach. Let's go, you know?
Right.
So again, I think somebody younger, I don't know, quite freshman, but maybe like sophomore, something like that, that's got a couple years to play, getting ready for the draft. I think that's probably the sweet spot of what he's going to be looking for.
Yeah, and that was kind of Belichick's whole thing was it's better to get rid of someone a year or two early versus a year or two late. I mean, he did it with
Absolutely.
Bledsoe, who had taken them to the Super Bowl, pretty big name, and he replaced him with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So, and he wanted to
And
do it
it
with
was a good
Garoppolo.
move as far as
Yeah.
Bledsoe.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because Bledsoe went to Buffalo and then Dallas, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he didn't really make waves in either one.
Yeah, I think they did like okie dokie, like in
It was
Buffalo
like
that first year.
mediocre. It
Yeah,
wasn't awful, but it was like he's kind of a space filler.
yeah. So, all right. So to the playoffs, we'll start with the first game. I don't think we had a lot of surprises here. I think everyone maybe wanted it to go one way, but it went the other. Houston played pretty valiantly, I would say. Just at the end of the day, they're still pretty young. They still don't have quite all the talent, and they do have some issues, obviously, on the offensive line to give up 8 sacks. Not
Yeah,
good in the
that
playoffs.
absolutely insane how many sacks that game had. I think some teams didn't even get that many in the season.
Yeah. Well, and just to think, had they been able somehow to pull that off, Stroud was really banged up. I mean, he was limping. He had
He
to be
was,
helped off. I
yeah,
mean,
he was
that
not
probably
coming
would have
into.
been.
He was not healthy during this game, and they had some sloppy play.
Mhm.
Like you said, they're young. I don't think they have the discipline level that they need to be a championship caliber team. Because even if they would have pulled that off, the Ravens or the Bills would have dismantled them in the next game.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
no
especially if
question.
Stroud wasn't at 100, it wouldn't have been fair. So
It
it's
no,
probably
it
for the best they didn't.
it was. I mean, and honestly, if I was a Houston Texans fan, I would say this was a successful season. I think they
Oh, yeah.
did. I think they did better than a lot of people not invested would have guessed that they'd have done. Of course, the fans are always going to think they need to go all the way, but I don't think they have anything to be ashamed of. I think they had a great season, and even if it didn't end quite where they may have wanted it to, I think they overperformed personally because I wouldn't have picked them to make it this far.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what they did against the Chargers. It looked really good. That was a team, I think the Chargers were heavily favored everywhere, pretty much.
Oh, big time, big time.
Yeah. And unlike last year when they made it to round 2, they didn't get blown out. The Ravens blew them out last year, wasn't
I
even
mean,
close.
it was a pretty even game up toward till the end almost.
Yeah, just kind of that battle of attrition where the better team eventually is going to come out. And obviously, Reed and the Chiefs have the experience in the playoffs. Andy
Yeah, that's
Reid
where
is a
having
phenomenal
having
coach.
having that team that's already been to the bowl and having the coach that is very seasoned, it helped them a lot in a game like this. They definitely just outmatched them. They had the stamina, and especially when you add up all the injuries on the Texans, because CJ Stroud's not the only one that wasn't super healthy for them, so it took a toll.
Oh, wait. I think we need to tune up the John Cena music because.
It is the champ from Ohio.
You can see me. What's going on, gents?
Hey.
Not too much. We were just talking the Chiefs Texans game kind of went how we thought. Battle of attrition at the end. The younger team and apparently had a lot more issues on the offensive line than any of us, I think, realized. Just got outplayed towards the end, but they kept it close, much better than last year's dismantling to the Ravens when they let the Ravens score like 40-some points and just walk all over them.
For sure.
Any thoughts on that game, Grayson?
I mean, the memes have been hilarious. It was honestly a no-brainer. Andy Reid and just the entire Kansas City Chiefs team, like, no matter what we want to say, they know how to play football, and they were able to, exploit the weaknesses that the Houston Texans obviously have. Like, they were, a decent enough team, but for them to be as far as they were in the playoff contention spots was, a surprise to everybody. And it was definitely kind of how much gas they would have left to take them all the way through the rest of the season. And they just ran out and they just showed their weaknesses to a way better team.
That's almost exactly what I just said.
We're here. We're right here.
Vibing. Bobby, what did you think of the Chiefs Texans game?
I thought it was a good game, but I thought there was a lot of BS calls in that game.
I'll totally agree with that.
Yes.
Or the times
Mahomes,
that Mahomes
those two guys hit each other. Then Mahomes going down. It's like he never hit him. The guy.
Yeah, they literally hit like this, and he was here.
Yeah, Mahomes is flopping too, and it's like he's like, ooh.
Yeah, but he didn't get a penalty on that one, Bobby. I will say,
but he did on the other one.
I will say I know the Chiefs have become the new Patriots, where now everyone's like they're getting all this stuff. Washington, I felt like should have got a lot more penalties. I forget who the announcer was. Was it Aikman on that game?
Yeah, Aikman. No, Aikman was during the Kansas City game.
They saw it too.
Okay, because I was like Tony Romo. I know it was the Bills game.
Yeah, I think Chris Collinsworth and NBC was the Washington game.
Okay, because
they had to get him off of the Kansas City Chiefs for a while.
Yeah, no, they couldn't put Collinsworth on a Chiefs game.
Pat Mahomes. is just the best guy.
This is something in 2024. Now it's bled into 2025. That kind of annoys me. Is like they'll spend like 10, 15 minutes on a penalty that didn't happen while the game's still going on. And this happened in the Detroit.
Go back to the game.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. So this happened in the Detroit game. It was like late in the fourth, and I think the interception return for a touchdown was in the third. And they were still talking about like how Detroit or Washington should have got a penalty for like hitting Goff head to head.
Yeah.
Defensive, whatever it's called. And I was just like, move on. Like it's kind of annoying, But what was the other game on Sunday? Washington, Detroit. See? Perfect segue. Yeah, so Washington killed it. They did everything they needed to do. They played with heart, didn't make mistakes. They did go for it on 4th and down or 4th and 1 and didn't get it. But
Mark Andrews should have caught that ball.
No, that's a different game. That's the other Maryland game. Don't worry about that one yet. But yeah, Detroit just made a ton of mistakes, mainly Jared Goff.
Yep.
Offensively, they were drawing up a lot of cool trick plays, one of which was a questionable one. Maybe don't have the receiver throw when you need to get that big of a yardage chunk.
Yeah.
Unless you have like Antoine Randall L, who played quarterback and can do
Yeah,
it.
otherwise that was more like a 5 or 6 yard play, not a 20-yard. Like, yeah,
Yeah, or at least as the wide receiver, just like chuck it out of bounds. Don't risk it. You know. Yeah, just a lot of mistakes I think for Detroit, but again, we're not taking away from Washington, who did everything they needed to do, played with heart, played really good, and got the job done. David, any
Yeah.
thoughts on this one?
I think it was a fantastic game. I think you summed it up really well. I do think, Washington played hard. We kind of touched on this a little bit ago. They were in it to win it. They knew they were coming in as pretty big underdogs. And I mean, I don't think they were quite as big an underdog as Houston was with Kansas City, probably, but it was close. I don't think anybody expected, people have been arguing all season that Detroit's possibly the best team in the league. So they went in, they got it done. I think they minimized the mistakes. They played, traditional back to foundations football. You didn't see a lot of trick plays coming from them or anything, but they had the fundamentals down. And I know you're not as into the hype of Daniels as some people are, but I think for a rookie quarterback, he's doing a damn good job. I know that that kind of pressure could break some kids their first year in the NFL. And he managed to stay composed, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he did have one turnover, right? I think he did have an interception.
He might have.
I'm not sure. Well, either way, he didn't let
check.
anything get to him. There were a couple of sacks and things like that, like stuff that could have set them back if they let it get to them too much. And I think they did a good job of keeping their head up against a team that realistically they should have lost to. They kept trucking. They didn't let any of the outside stuff get to them. And that crowd had to be fierce there in person. I mean, playing there in Detroit, they're a passionate group. So they did a fantastic job. They kept it going. They were behind at some points, and they didn't, fall into the trap of getting too under pressure there. And I think they honestly deserve the win. And if I'm just judging off the playoff games that have happened so far, I think Washington looks like a better team than the Eagles. I think they've played cleaner football. I think they've made better plays. Whereas the Eagles, I haven't seen them be dominant really at all. They've just kind of squeaked through in their couple of games. So I think we're in for a really good game this weekend. And I would not be surprised to see Washington Commanders in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. And no interceptions. It looks like 2 touchdowns, 0 ends. Yeah, I didn't think so, but then again, I was like, maybe in the first.
There was just so many turnovers in that game. I guess that hard to believe they were all Detroit.
Yeah. Well, and, hey, like I said in the pre-draft quarterback rankings, I thought Jane Daniels would have the best rookie year. He just seemed like he was going to be set up for the success, going either second or third.
Caleb was handicapped by a lot of issues the Bears already had.
Yeah, like coaching.
He was coming into a sinking ship, whereas Daniels was able to walk into a new level playing field with a great new coach.
Yeah, and a lot of good, pieces around him, pretty solid pieces.
They'd already been building the team, I feel like. They just needed him as that last piece to kind of get things really going. Whereas Caleb is more the first piece of the new puzzle over there. So I think they're both very talented. I'd be happy to have either one of them.
Yeah, well, and considering what were they? Were they still the Commanders last year? But anyways, Washington.
They were the Washington football team, I think, last year.
Yeah. So still to have that competition with Sam Howell and be able to almost beat like the Eagles last year with Sam Howell, who we saw have -5 yards with the Seahawks.
Exactly.
Very respectable,
Yeah, the rest of the team is not, they're not chumps. They're getting it done, and bringing in the new coach and the new quarterback, I think, were some of the final pieces. They polish this up, even if they lose this game this weekend. They polish up a couple of spots in the draft and such. Next year, I expect to see them here again.
Yeah, and for the season, like you said, if it were to end this weekend, it's hell of a season. You have a rookie quarterback, not rookie, first year
new
head coach.
Yeah, first year coach, rookie quarterback, a couple other rookies on the team. Like, you done a damn good job. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You guys should be proud of this season. You did it. You nailed it.
Grayson, what are your thoughts on the Commanders-Lions game?
Pretty similar to David's. In all honesty, it was the upset I did not see coming. Again, Washington looked way better than, I shouldn't say way better, but it was definitely, they gave the Lions a run for their money and they pulled it out at the very end. I think, I don't want to say necessarily discredit the Lions, but I think they might have just gone into that game expecting, the Washington Commanders that we've had for the last, 3-4 years, especially since they, had to go through a rebuilding process. And I honestly think that, I think they're going to play way better than Philly, because even though they won, their last game, I don't know if they'll pull it out against the Commanders, because they look hungry and they look like they want to, they have a shot, so they want to go all the way. I don't think Philly's got that, fire in them. I don't think that they're going to be, they'll still be there. They'll pull up a good fight, but I don't think at the very end of it, they're going to be, willing to go all the way. Because I just don't think they wanted enough. And I think, in all honesty, it might be a Commanders, Super Bowl appearance this year because of how much better they've improved in the postseason. So
I totally agree with you that I don't feel like Philly wants it as much.
Yeah.
I just don't feel that same passion. I feel like Washington's going to put everything on the line to make it happen. And I'll just say this. If Washington had any player that was going to hit a record in that last game of the season, they would have played him. I guarantee you, Dan Quinn would have said, get out there, give him the ball every chance you got.
David, to that point, I think because they are so conservative, because they would not give Saquon Barkley the chance, they do not have the cojones to put it where it needs to be on the line in this game.
It's a great metaphor for the way they run the team. The fact that they wouldn't let him go do that, I don't think they'll put it on the line. They're too conservative, and we've already seen Dan Quinn is more than ready to go for it on fourth down.
Absolutely.
Yeah, his kicker just doesn't exist in these games anymore.
Even the ones they didn't make, we can't say it was the wrong choice because they won the game.
Right.
Like they got the ones that counted. And I mean, statistically, the more times you go for it, the more times you're going to make it.
Yeah, eventually you got to make it. I will say for Philadelphia, I feel like their defense has the passion. It's the offense, which is really weird.
Offense isn't jiving as much.
Yeah. It's like Barkley, and that's it. Like the passing game has not looked good. And
I
you're
mean,
going to have to.
Fair, maybe that's why they didn't play Saquon, because they know without him, they got nothing.
Right. Well, I feel like Sirianni had to win at least a couple of these to save his job. Like, I feel like he could.
Now, if he loses this one, do you think it's still kind of in question?
I feel like you've gone too far. Like, to make the conference championship. Now, they lost the division,
fans will feel different, though.
Oh, yeah.
They're if they don't win the Super Bowl, they're going to hate him.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to hate him for the Barkley thing. Barkley might hate him, might cause some strife there. Yeah, next year, if they don't win this one and make the Super Bowl, could be interesting for Philadelphia.
There's going to be some questions. There's going to be some drama either way, I think. I feel like with the two teams, Washington is on the incline. Eagles are kind of on a decline. Just in their histories of what's going on, I think that they're passing each other, going opposite directions at the moment.
I mean, honestly, to be real, it's hard to see the Eagles take this kind of dip because they were such a good team to where it felt like they could have been, a repeat franchise like the Chiefs, or at least making multiple comebacks. But I think, kind of to your point, David, or King, did you say that it was the offense that just didn't look like they had the heart?
Yeah, it's like something imploded.
Yeah, I think honestly, without Jason Kelce there, like I think he was the guy that kind of like kept the offense, going because he was like, the superstar brother that was, in the limelight. But I think just in all honesty, it's just they're kind of just slowly crashing and burning because it's just been year after year they just keep getting worse and worse. And I think Washington, I forgot where I was going with that, but Eagles no bueno, muy no bueno.
Well, and I feel like next year, I mean, this year, obviously they still got the chance, but I feel like next year with the Commanders adding some pieces, I think the Cowboys get the coach in there, get some good young talent, maybe like a Gentry at halfback or something. The Giants could have a shot to get one of the good young rookie quarterbacks. I think that could be another tough division again. So I think, this is the year. If the Eagles want to do it, they need to do it this year.
This is their last best chance for probably the next at least 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be a dominating team in this division, I think, for a long time.
I remembered where I was going with what I was saying earlier. With the with the
Found the
coaches,
map.
if they do lose this game, it's Philly's just as toxic as Cleveland, and there's gonna be a lot of with his performance. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of uncertainty with a lot of coaching staff, even though they made it to as far as a lot of these teams have. I feel like this is the first year that we're going to see a lot of postseason movement we were not expecting, especially from teams that made it as far as they did.
Well, here's a what-if scenario. Say Kellen Moore does leave Philadelphia to go back to Dallas. Do you think he can poach Barkley from Philadelphia? Like, get him to leave?
How long is his contract at Philly right now?
I think it's only 2 years, maybe 3.
Well, how much is he making per game?
Let's see.
See, that's another thing, though. I also guaranteed the Cowboys, if they had a player that in the last game would have hit a record, they would have said do it because it brings glory to the team.
Okay, so his contract is 3 years, $37 million, so that's only about $12 million per year.
I mean, Dallas needs a running game, so it's possible. I don't know what kind of connection they might have made together over this past year, if Saquon even want to. But if he was going to another team, I think he'd be most comfortable with something in the division, something that he's playing against his old team, all that kind of stuff. So interesting thought for sure. I don't know if Jerry would cough up for it because, as we saw with this last year, he didn't want to pay a dime for running backs. So,
But what if Kellen Moore? I mean, all he has to do is, hey, Barkley, you come to Dallas with me, you go for that record, I'll make sure you get it.
I mean, they better be bringing some guys into the O-line then to help that happen.
Right. Well, yeah, and then you could get the Texas tackle, bring him on the offensive line. He's from Texas already.
I don't think that that's an impossible one. I don't think that's a player that I'm going to be like, no way is that going to happen. But we'll see.
Right. Well, speaking of Philadelphia, their game's up next. They played the Rams. It was supposed to snow. It did. But later in the game, I think about mid to late third. And then it got really pretty snowy there for a bit. And I think that helped them. Yeah, and I think
snow started
Yeah, the Rams, once it started snowing, I think had 3 turnovers, one for almost a touchdown.
I think the Rams would have won if it wouldn't have snowed.
Yeah, and they almost won with the snow.
Exactly. I think it did affect them quite a bit. You could tell they did not know how to handle it. There was so many slips and slides that, it was rough.
Yeah, Can I just say, bring back a snowball? Bring back the snowball.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
Yeah, anyway, it felt like the Rams, even though they were making mistakes, were going to win. Especially once Puka made that catch, I was like, "Oh man, this is destiny."
That was a great catch too.
Yeah, I was like, "They're gonna make this, and it's gonna be the Rams and the Commanders." There's gonna be like all low seeds outside of the Chiefs going for it. It's crazy. And then final game was kind of the game everyone was looking forward to: the Ravens and the Bills. I felt pretty torn, as you guys all know. But Grayson, were you a heavy Josh Allen fan this weekend?
Of course. Anybody led the Ravens, baby. No, I would say it was a really good game. Probably one of the better ones, like the Houston-Washington, or not the Houston-Washington one, but the Washington-LA one. Definitely. Turned out the way I wanted it. I'm glad that Josh Allen gets to go on. I'm kind of hoping, even though obviously after this weekend the refs showed their hand on how much they love Kansas City, so I don't think they're going to get it again this year. But here's hoping that Josh Allen and the Bills can actually get it out this year and pull a W out on the Chiefs. But the game was really well played. I didn't catch much of it, but from what I saw, both teams were giving it what they had. So, but Bills got it.
Yeah, David, what did you think of Sunday night's game?
I do think it was one of the best games probably of the season, to be honest. Like, it was great. A lot of back and forth. It was really a shootout, at least for the first half. I think the Ravens just made a few of those crucial mistakes, and 1 or 2 different catches, the game would have been totally different. Yep. They just, when they needed it, they didn't pull through. And I think that that's what makes a team, the better team won. I think I mentioned this to you when the game was going on, that I feel like Ravens have a superior running game a little bit over the Bills, but the Bills have superior through the air. They definitely have, I think, a little better passing game, better receivers and things. So I think that just won out. Maybe if it would have been a heavy snow game from the beginning, would have gone maybe Baltimore's way a little bit more then. But the Bills are, I think the Bills are sick of Kansas City just like the rest of us. I think they are tired of almost getting there and always being outdone and not quite getting to be the team at the big dance. And I think they feel kind of like they are the team of destiny this year, that they got to make it happen. So I expect to have them coming out full force to this game against Kansas City. And I don't know if Kansas City is ready for it. I mean, Kansas City, there's no denying, even if I don't like them, they're a good team. But I don't think they're as good this year as they have been in the past. I think even if their record's been better, I feel like a lot of their wins have been so lucky. It has definitely been those last minute play, kind of stuff that's gotten them there. And I think this weekend that luck runs out and we're going to get a Bills Commanders Super Bowl.
I mean, honestly, I think David's right. This is Josh Allen's year. Getting engaged to Haley Steinfeld, being one of the better teams in the entire NFL. Man's just pulling W's left and right. So I think, in all honesty, I think he's going to carry that into, this postseason and pull out the W.
It's too good a story not to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we were talking about like the drops. Obviously, the big drop of this game was the 2-point conversion, which Andrews had. He was in the end zone. It would have been a tie game. But I think what people forget is they went for it twice for the 2-point and didn't get either of them. Had they just
either one, or they would have done the 1 point. Yeah.
Yeah. Had they just kicked both field goals, overtime. So again, it goes into maybe people are listening too much to analytics where it says you got to go for it, especially because that first one was really early in the game, and I was like, just kick the field goal. There's plenty of time left.
100%. I understand going for it on that last one because, of course, you want to tie the game. I get that. I didn't quite understand that first one.
Yeah, because there's too much time at that point.
There was you didn't need that at all. There was no reason. It wasn't like it was going to turn it into a two possession game. There was really no reason for it. So that one, little silly in my opinion, because again, it could have put them in a position that an easy kick could have taken it into overtime and maybe given them the dub.
Yeah. Bobby, what'd you think of the Ravens Bills?
I thought Mark Andrews should have caught that ball. He was wide open too. Wide.
He had it. It was literally right. He was in the yeah.
Buffalo didn't see it either.
That's got to haunt him. That's going to haunt him the rest of his career.
Yep.
Could be his last game as a Raven. I don't know.
Yep.
Cap casualty. All right, so let's get to conference championship picks. We will start in the NFC because it looks like that is the first one. It's 1 p.m. on Fox. It'll be in Philadelphia with Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Washington Commanders. Currently, it looks like the line is Philadelphia -6 with the over-under at 47.5. David, what is your prediction?
I think I kind of gave this away a minute ago. I think Commanders are going to squeak it out. I think this is going to be some very classic NFC East football, very knockdown, drag out football. I think it's going to be a hard game for both sides. It's going to be important to keep an eye on what injuries happen in this, and hopefully, they got to remember, as much as they want to win this, there is still potentially that last game that you really got to win. So that'll be an interesting aspect, I think, to the decisions. But ultimately, I do think Washington is going to bring it out because I think the teams that Washington's already beaten are better than the Eagles. I don't think there's anybody that would say the Lions were not as good as the Eagles. So I definitely think Washington's got it. I think it's their game to lose. I think they're going to win it. I don't think it's going to go to the over. I think it's going to get really close to that 47, but I see something like maybe 23-21, something like that, or 24-21, I guess, just to make it nice numbers. It's going to be a close one. I think it'll be decided pretty near the end of the fourth quarter that they're both going to be in it pretty much till the end. I hope it's a good game.
Bobby, what about you?
I think Washington's going to win too on Sunday. They get a heck of a football team.
And a better coach. I think Dan Quinn's.
Yeah,
I think he's better
Oh,
than Sirianni.
yeah.
but big dog energy with the Eagles over there.
I mean,
he looks for dogs. That's why he
plus
says.
the Eagles are not going to have any advantage weather-wise or anything
No.
because Washington's right there as well. So any edge they might have gotten with that is going to go out the window. That's not going to be a factor.
That is something we should look into, the weather. Grayson, what's your pick?
Yeah, give me Washington as well. I mean, once that upset train kind of starts going, especially in the postseason, and a team that's definitely way underestimated, and they start getting just a good rhythm going, it's hard to stop them. And especially against a team like Philly, I don't think they're ready for what's about to come their way. I don't think, as David said, there's no weather advantage, and I think honestly, it's just it's going to be really good football. But I think, as we brought out earlier, the Eagles are just not all there. The defense is there, willing to put up a stop to anything that's willing to come their way, but the offense just isn't there. And so with that, I think it will go over. I think honestly, if Washington gets too far ahead, it's just going to demoralize the offense, and it's just going to be nothing but a foot on their necks for the rest of the game. So I think, in all honesty, if Washington gets a healthy lead, it's going to be a nonstop just beating them into the dirt until the clock runs out.
Yeah, I don't think they could claw their way out of it the way that I think Washington could if they were behind.
I 100% agree. But yeah, give me Washington because I think, as we said earlier, they just want it more than the Eagles do. So
honestly, they're kind of giving me energy like another NFC East wild card team back when the Giants had a guy named Eli Manning and came all the way from wild card to win it all. I'm seeing a lot of similar shades of that here with the Commanders. I don't know if they're going to be able to take it down in the Super Bowl. I think if it's them versus Kansas City, they will. With the Bills, that's going to be a much harder prediction.
Yep.
All right, so I looked up the weather, and it looks like we will probably be in for a lower scoring game, is my guess. It's supposed to be rain and snow with the high of 40 and winds between 11 and 25 miles per hour.
So I see Dan Quinn going for it on fourth a lot more than kicking again. It's going to be a lot of running game. So you know what? Maybe Saquon will get another of those 100 yards.
Yeah, so based on just my kind of gut feeling is I think we're in for a Philadelphia, Kansas City Super Bowl.
No.
And I'm only going to go against that gut feeling once in these picks. This is not going to be it. I'm going to have to say Philadelphia. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I think both defenses are really good. Obviously got to shout out former Seattle Seahawk Bobby Wagner on the Commanders. The Eagles defense is really good. I think they can keep it low, especially if it's a sloppy, hard-to-pass type of game. And I think if it comes down to run, I think Barkley is the better running back. So I would have to go there. I think it's going to be something maybe under 20 points, maybe like 20-14, 20-17, something like that. Yeah, we'll see. But that brings us to 4:30 on CBS and Paramount Plus. It'll be in Kansas City with the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Buffalo Bills. The current line is Kansas City -2 with the over-under at 47.5 as well. David, what is your predictions?
That is crazy to me that it's -2. Like, it is almost an even game. Because I know when they make the lines, usually home field advantage, they're giving you automatic 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that is the only difference in this game, and not even all the way, is that home field advantage. And I think the Bills are more than prepared to handle that kind of noise level and crowd. So I'm seeing it as a straight up 0-0. And honestly, I think the Bills are such a better team. They are, I think, also the only team that beat them in the regular season. I think that the Chiefs are going to definitely remember that. And I don't think they're ready for it. Again, I think Josh Allen has had a fantastic personal year for himself in every aspect. There's no reason for it not to keep rolling. When it rains, it pours. And this could be the Bills Mafia year that they're finally getting it done. It's been teased so long, and it is such a better storyline than Kansas City winning again. Nobody wants that. Nobody except Kansas City fans and Swifties. That's the only people who want Kansas City to keep winning. So,
I mean, Bobby sent me a message. He wants Kansas City to win.
No.
I could see it. I heard he actually has the KC symbol on the back of his head shaved in there. Is that true, Bobby? Is that?
No.
See, what I heard is he keeps a Mahomes jersey just in the back of his closet to look at because he loves the team so much.
That and then his Kelsey jersey is inside his pillow, just so he gets right there every night.
I can't.
I mean, hey, somebody's got to keep Kelsey warm and toasty.
I do think I think this one goes the over. I think it's going to be a shootout style kind of game. They're both gunslingers out there. They are not run heavy teams by any means. They've got good running games, but that's not what they usually depend on. So I expect to see a lot of that. There's going to be at least one or two calls in Kansas City's favor that everybody is going to hate that are going to make no sense. But I think the Bills overcome that, and I think they comfortably put it away by the end of the game. I think they may still be kind of close going into the third and such, but I think the Bills pull ahead by the fourth, and we see the Buffaloes charge into New Orleans.
Yep.
And Bobby, what are you picking?
Buffalo by 7. I don't see much. Like, it's going to be close, but Buffalo is going to be going to the Super Bowl this year. Look at the Simpsons. They predicted that too. Buffalo, they're not wrong.
I mean, if the Simpsons predicted it, I mean, write it and go to Vegas right now. Everybody, actually, don't take my advice.
I'm getting this tattoo of it right now, right after this.
Or okay, what was the game last year? I don't know if it was the Super Bowl or one of the playoff games. Do y'all remember that whole controversy? Like, they were behind, and Travis Kelce was like screaming at Andy Reid on the sidelines or whatever.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay, when it looked like they were going to lose because they were like doing that alone encapsulates that. I think Kansas City falls apart when they're not winning.
Man, they're always behind against the 49ers. I was so upset when that was the Super Bowl again because I was like, it's the same thing that we had like 2 years earlier.
Yeah, I just think that they are not – I think they're too high on themselves, and I think they feel like it's owed to them to get the three-peat, that they're going to, that this is their destiny, and I just don't see it happening. I think the collective prayers of America will let the Bills win.
Here's hoping, David. Here's hoping.
All right.
To your point, start off to David's point, I honestly think that they've become the Taylor Swift of football. They think way too highly of themselves when it's just been basically a magical combination of just coaching, players, and just overall back office staff. And as David said, when they start losing the lead and they're just getting super upset because they're spoiled kids about it, because nobody's been able to beat them in the regular season or postseason for 7 years now. They throw a fit about it. So I think when Josh Allen starts, let me back up. I'll give you my pick first and foremost that I want. I really think the Bills are going to pull this out. I think with how everything's going with this postseason, I think despite everything, I think Josh Allen is confident enough to go against Mahomes and Kansas City. Because he's seen them multiple times in the postseason before. I think it's gotten to the point where every single player that's on the Chiefs has gotten to such a prima donna status to where once they start losing, it's going to fall apart. And I think if the Bills have the coaching staff, which I think they do, to exploit that, it's in the bag. The way I really see this going realistically, with how how much the NFL loves the Chiefs. There'll be a little bit of a rhythm in the first quarter. There'll be flags all over the place to slow the gameplay down to make, everyone believe that the Chiefs aren't favored, but we all know they are. And then by the end of the game, when it's all been slowed down, they'll start throwing a couple calls to make sure it goes Kansas City's way, and they'll walk away with the W. But I am hoping that it's the Bills, so I'm going to take the Bills, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So my gut says we're getting the Kansas City, Philadelphia Super Bowl. So that for
that'd be
weeks,
such a bad Super Bowl.
Yeah, in
Yep.
2 weeks we're just gonna hear it's Andy Reid versus his former team. They'll beat his former team. Neither quarterback's gonna pass for 200 yards.
Yep.
That's what my gut's telling me. But we all know Josh Allen went to Wyoming, so let me put this
So I'm
on.
going for Josh.
All right. I'm gonna go against my gut once, and that's for this game. For Buffalo, just what I've seen out of the Bills, and we know, unlike the Broncos when they beat their backups, the Bills actually stomped the Chiefs starters. Now again, the Chiefs have had time to look that over and game plan whatever, but I just feel like Josh Allen can do it and become like the fifth quarterback since 2000 to make the Super Bowl from the AFC, since it's only been like 4 other quarterbacks. So yeah, give me Buffalo to meet up with Philadelphia as my pick.
And I mean, you've got to think that no matter how confident they are, the Chiefs have to be a little scared that the championship game is against the only team that's already beaten them this year.
And soundly beaten them.
Yeah, there's got to be a little trepidation. Even if you've watched all the tape, you're as prepared as you can get. You've got to be like, of all the teams we had to face, it had to be the team that beat us.
Yeah, because I don't think they would have been as afraid of Baltimore, even though Baltimore feels like they have more weapons as far as like a really good run game.
Yeah,
They have some really good defense, but they've done it multiple years, just like been able to shut that team down to nothing.
Yeah.
Like I picked Baltimore last year, and look what happened there.
Yeah. So I think I hope Josh Allen gets it done.
Me too. Go Pokes.
I mean, in all honesty with you, if what I think happens comes to pass where they, start just throwing flags left and right to slow down gameplay and try to act like they're not going to show favoritism, if I'm the Bills, I'd be running a hurry-up offense through that entire first quarter, because if you don't keep momentum going, you're going to lose the gas, you're going to lose the drive. Just keep going.
Yeah, they need to punch them in the mouth and keep it going.
Yep.
They need to bury them as much as they can before that halftime, I think.
Come out of the gate hard, come out of the gate fast, and then once you have at least a 2-touchdown lead, let off the gas a little bit, but just keep hitting them where it hurts.
They need to play this game like it's the Super Bowl.
100%. Because I think, honestly, even if they win this, if they go up against the Eagles or the Commanders, whoever wins, the Bills would have it in the bag, no matter what. This is the Super Bowl for them right here and now, and they have to just go as hard and fast as possible.
Yeah, it should be a good one, I think. So, hey, there's our picks. The Monday football game was the College National Championship. I'm pretty sure most of us, if not all, picked Ohio. Well, maybe not Nolan, but Nolan's not on here. So all of us on here picked Ohio. Grayson, how are you feeling right now? Ohio is the first team to win the 4-team college football playoffs.
That's
now
pretty
the
cool.
12th team. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound, too full of myself here, but when Ohio State entered into the playoff contention this year, I knew they'd walk away with a W. Notre Dame, it was a really good game for the most part up until, that second half when Ohio just kind of started walking away with it a little bit. But honestly, for the most part, it was really well played football, and just Ohio State, as they always do, or for the most part do when they get in the postseason, they get onto that train and they just ride it all the way to a national championship. So, happy Ohio's taking it home, but it was something I kind of saw coming. But
I mean, if someone was to say OH, what would you respond with?
IO, baby. It's the dumbest chant in any chant anywhere, but I love it.
Hey, gets the job done. No, but I would say Riley Leonard from Notre Dame played his heart out. Just a really good game. I mean, he did everything he could have tried to keep them in. But Ohio State, it just felt almost like they were going to take it from the moment they just destroyed Oregon. I mean, they just were playing so good. They had a really physical game against Texas. They were able to get it done. And like all of us kind of said, we felt like whoever won that game was going to win the national championship. Howard's been playing really good. So, yeah, good on Ohio to get it done again. David, what are your thoughts with the national championship?
I think it played out pretty much exactly as we thought. And I'm going to go back to what I said a couple of weeks ago, that whoever won the Ohio-Texas game, that was going to be our national champs. I think that was the real game. Nothing against Notre Dame. They did a fantastic job. Nothing against who they go against, Penn State or something?
Penn State, yeah.
Yeah, they were okay. I don't think – I think there's a bigger disparity in college football between the different divisions and such than there is NFL. In the NFL, I do truly believe it's any given Sunday that even the worst team in the league can beat the best. It just, there's a lot of factors. But in college, I think there's some, like in the NFL, we may have a gap this big between talent levels. In college, it exponential. So I just don't think that realistically the other teams had nearly as much of a chance. I think they all played great, but I think the game played out exactly as we all thought, and I don't think Ohio was ever in any danger of not winning that game.
Well, like you said, the disparity of talent, it's because there's so many options in college football.
Exactly.
Like the
There's
NFL.
so many schools. There's so many
Yeah.
people. Like, you can have the best player in the world on your team in college, but if the rest of the team's not that same caliber, you're not winning any games.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't even have to look at like a huge, section of games this year. Just look at the first round of the playoffs. There's a huge disparity between like the top half and the bottom half of those matchups, where it was just like, should any of these teams actually be in it? So I don't know.
But I mean, think about it this way: if we didn't have the 12 game system this year, like we did, or 12 teams, Ohio wouldn't have even been in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, that's insane. And yet they proved that they were the best team to get there. I mean, they may not have had the best season, but they got hot when it mattered. And they took down two very top 5 teams, in my opinion, with Oregon and Texas, and didn't make it look terribly difficult. They were good games, but they did so well for themselves. Again, even though my team is Texas, hats off to Ohio. They did a fantastic job. I think they deserved it. And I'm very excited for the first game of the season this year, where we're going to get a Texas-Ohio rematch.
Woo woo!
Actually, Grayson.
Yeah.
You're over there, right?
Huh?
Are you over there in Ohio?
I mean, in spirit, my man. In spirit.
Okay. See, I'm going to the game next year. You should come. Let's go.
I mean, deal. I'll see you out there, man.
All right, we're gonna make it happen.
Do that.
All right, we could. Yeah, we can make it an outing. I mean, we got 8-9 months to plan it. Let's do it.
All right. Yeah,
and that's one of those like legendary football stadiums too for college football.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love going to college football games. We've been to quite a few. It's just so much fun. There's a fun environment, and obviously, once you get to some more of these like storied, programs where they've been around, they're really good at football. It's almost like they have to win because that's just the expectation,
Not only that, but man, there's going to be so many storylines in this game with it not only already being Texas and Ohio, it's going to be the rematch from the playoffs. They're the national champions. Manning's first full official game is the new start. Like, it is going to be crazy. That place is going to be packed. It's going to be energetic. I think we're going to be in for a very good college season next year.
I mean, I'm already excited for it. Everything you just said, yeah, it's going to be a strong start to the season. In all honesty, Texas did give us a pretty decent run for our money, at least a little bit there. But when we played Oregon, it was like we were playing 2 different forms of football. It's like we were beating a junior varsity high school football team.
Hey, I think it comes down to what you said about the Commanders. Ohio just wanted it more.
100%.
They put 110% of what they had into both of those games, and they kicked ass. They did fantastic. Absolutely. I mean, again, even though I'm on the losing side of it, nothing but respect for Ohio. They nailed it. They did a fantastic job.
The way I'm going to put it is that the Bengals suck, the Browns suck, the Indians suck, the Cincinnati Reds suck. So this is the only team Ohio has to really
Gotta
rely
have
on for any
something,
sort
right?
of something anywhere. So
Hey,
this
the
is
Bengals got a chance. They're on the kind of on the incline at least.
a little bit. The Guardians, they make the playoffs every once in a while. Yeah, with how Ohio is, this was definitely them trying to live up to the storied franchise that is Ohio State, and just with how bad a lot of the other teams were, I'm sure they felt the inspiration to be at least some sort of a beacon of hope for the locals in Ohio. So they definitely pulled that out. But yeah, no. Next year, if the three of us go to that game, I'm all down for it. Let's start talking about it now, and making it into reality, because I'd be down to clown for that
It'd
for
be a ton of
sure.
fun. And we can even do a live show from there.
Absolutely, 100%, dude.
Welcome
be
to
like-
our
Just going around talking to people. All right, so we're live on the internet.
Hi, we're from the internet.
We're the internet people.
You can. I guarantee, at least one of the big like College Game Day or something will absolutely be there.
Oh yeah, and Pat McAfee and crew and College
It'll
Game
be
Day is gonna
the
there.
game of the week by far.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that would almost be silly. I mean, I guess we have to see what the other matchups are, but it would be silly if it wasn't. But yeah, that's our predictions. That's our talk about college championship. Obviously, we're getting towards the end of the football season, at least for NFL. Obviously, college is over, but then we're going to have the off season. We'll have the draft. We'll have the UFL, I think is what it's called now. We'll have baseball, basketball, hockey.
Yep.
So we'll still be here. We'll still be talking. We'll be doing some mock drafts. We'll be doing maybe looking at free agency, talking about where we think's going. Bobby, what are you doing this weekend for the championship games? Going anywhere fun?
I might go over to the Pine Grill and watch it.
What about you, Grayson? Doing anything fun this weekend?
Probably going to try to catch the Commanders Eagles game, because I think that's probably the one that I'm most excited for, just to see what happens. But I'm going to definitely try to catch the Kansas City Bills game, because I think, as we've talked about, that's going to be the game of the week, and I think it's going to be wild. So I'm really kind of looking forward to some football this weekend.
David, what about you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna try to catch both games, and hopefully we don't get a Super Bowl of the devil versus Hitler. There you go. Let's go. I'm behind that. Let's go Buffalo.
I mean, if any fan base has honestly earned at least a go at the title this year, Bills Mafia should be getting it done. If they've earned it, it's their time.
You can't say they haven't been loyal for forever.
Absolutely.
They went through 4 Super Bowls, one of which they could have won, and they lost all 4 of them. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I know they're an old-time Dallas Cowboy kind of rival, but I'm all in for them, either them or the Commanders. I mean, I know they're one of our rivals, but I kind of think of Washington, and they're like respectful rivals that it's like Godzilla, King Kong. They team up if they have to against like the bigger threats. But fuck the Eagles. Nobody ever likes them. And then the Giants are kind of like the annoying little brother that we can beat them up, but you guys don't. You know what I mean? So I'm really hoping for that Bills Commanders Super Bowl, and then I can actually enjoy the game.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm going for Josh Allen for Wyoming ties. Like our buddy Paul here said, go Buffalo. It's our buddy Paul who we met at the Billy the Kid Historical Coalition marking of Stinking Springs. But David, we really want to know, if it was Eagles Chiefs, who would you pick?
I'm gonna have to go with the age-old advice of better the evil you know, and say I'd have to say let's let Philadelphia win this one, because in the long run they're still way low down compared to how many Super Bowls we have. So whatever. And again, if the Eagles, let's say they got it this year, I don't see them repeating. I think this is kind of one of their final chances to get it for probably the next decade. So If it has to be one, at least it's still from the NFC East. That's a little bit our side, at least. If I have to hear one more goddamn Bundle Rooski State Farm commercial,
God,
I'm gonna
that
end my
sucks.
life.
I can't stand that commercial.
So please,
Yeah.
we need this era of Kansas City, Taylor Swift, all of it just needs to end.
Go
It just
away.
it needs to have a massive blow to bring it back down, because if they get the three-peat for the first time ever, we're never going to hear the end of it. And I hope come Super Bowl or come this weekend, I hope Chris Collinsworth is just weeping that Mahomes is out.
Hey, we know one of them's, if it's Collinsworth and the Chiefs, or apparently Tony Romo and his just love for Josh Allen and the Bills, someone will be upset, and I'm hoping it's not the Bills, because I do like Josh Allen.
Look, I'll take Tony Romo and his love for Josh Allen over having to hear Chris Collinsworth talk the way he does about Patrick Mahomes anymore. It is so stinking ridiculous.
Grayson, you make a great point. Just like somebody we all know, Patrick Mahomes, when he's out on that field.
Have you seen the voiceovers where they're watching really old football games? And it's just they put Collinsworth in. They're like, that was a great pass, just like Patrick Mahomes. And it's like Troy Aikman in the Super Bowl.
Or I know I've seen the ones where it's it's from this season, and there'll be a flag, and they'll be like, okay, defense going against the great Patrick Mahomes, that is a negative 50 points.
So my favorite thing that I've seen is ever since AI came out, people just making hilarious edits all football season long. I can't really say, I guess we're live on YouTube, but if you're, wanting to have a little bit of a giggle, just look up AI Chris Collinsworth. What?
Yeah. I said do some searches. You could find it. It's good stuff.
It'll make your day. But yeah, it's Chris Collinsworth. It's if I can hear Chris Collinsworth just be quiet for 3 hours, that'll be fantastic. That'll be the best football I would ever watch in my entire life.
See, and I don't think it's so much that Tony Romo is just loves Josh Allen. I think it's that he knows football and can appreciate when somebody's good. And I think that Josh Allen fits the bill for that. Whereas whatever Chris Collinsworth has going on with Patrick Mahomes, that's a whole nother bundle rooski.
Jesus.
I will say I did enjoy
listening. He has in his
to
closet to Patrick Mahomes. It's a little concerning, but yeah.
I did enjoy listening to Romo, because he was loving just both sides, and he was like, whoever loses this game, thank you. We loved your season. It was a great season. I was like, Tony Romo, don't stop. This is great.
Yeah, I can't say Tony Romo's a jock writer. He is, as David said, commentating on the sport, whereas just Chris Collinsworth, he loves Patrick Mahomes on a deeper level.
I'm not going to see Tony Romo in another game bringing up Josh Allen unprompted. He's not just going to be, yeah. Whereas I don't know if I've seen a game from Chris Collinsworth that he doesn't mention him at least once. So
we're here watching the Chargers and the Eagles. It's a great quarterback, Pat Mahomes.
So here's a booth. I don't know if we've had, David, have we had an Aikman Romo booth yet?
No, Aikman is always with Buck.
Do you think at some point we could get that?
Maybe in something like a Pro Bowl or something stupid like that. The money to poach both of them onto the same thing would be astronomical, because they're probably two of the best commentators that are out there.
Oh yeah, Aikman's great.
Yeah, they both know the game, they know what they're doing. And I guess I can't say this about Troy, but as far as Romo, I loved Tony Romo. I think he only didn't get a Super Bowl because he didn't have the right team around him until near the end, and that's why Dak's first year was so good, that he had Tony's team. But I think Romo definitely has gotten more success as a broadcaster than he ever did as our quarterback. And
I feel like if the refs didn't fumble that catch with Des Bryant,
that's
they
another
might
one.
Have got to the Super Bowl.
That is another one. But Romo he had unfortunate things, but I'm very glad that he found his feet doing this. He's great at it. He's doing very well, and he's going to end up in the NFL Hall of Fame as a broadcaster.
Yeah. No, I'm enjoying all these kind of recent. Aikman's obviously 90s, but having these recent kind of quarterbacks who know the game.
Even Brady's not doing too bad.
No, he's done pretty good, and he's
for
pretty
his first
fair.
year. He's
yeah. when they there's been some penalties on the quarterback. He's like, yeah, I want to call that. Just let him play.
Yeah,
It's
I,
kind of
I do
fun to
like
hear
that.
that.
That he's just like, even though this is the same guy that would call his own penalties,
Yeah.
but he'd be like, "That's a pen," and they'd be like, "Yeah, you're right, Tom."
I mean, every quarterback. If a quarterback's not trying to get the penalty, you
I mean, you
almost
have
like,
to.
yeah,
Now,
you almost worried at that
you
point.
don't have to do the flop and stuff though, like we saw this weekend.
Yeah.
You know,
You can try to get the penalty without being a little bitch about it.
hey, and
But
they
it
didn't
really
give him
hurts
that
David.
penalty. So anyway, so yeah, that's sports chat this week. David, we got some viewers right now. Where can they find some fun adventures? Maybe some sports-related adventures.
Absolutely. Yeah, check out Abnormal Voyages. We go around seeing some cool stuff. We got some stuff in there from like the Kansas City Jayhawks. We got college basketball going on. We went to the NFL Hall of Fame pro football. A lot of cool stuff over there in Ohio. So we got some sports stuff. We got some paranormal. We got some just wacky things, art, adventures, all of that and more. Check us out, Abnormal Voyages, over on YouTube and Instagram. And we're going to have brand new episodes coming your way next month.
Grayson, what about you? You got some fun stuff for people to look up?
Not yet. Still working on editing that Nosferatu review. Taking a little bit longer than I thought, but we'll be on the Gray Man YouTube channel and TikTok as well in short form. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and we just released our Wolfman kind of deep dive yesterday. We do have our next two pop culture podcasts for both February and March ready to go. David, what are we doing for February?
For February, with our pop culture, we are going to be diving into the return of that patriotic superhero, Captain America, with Sam Wilson, formerly the Falcon, taking over the coveted shield and getting all into some politics and intrigue. It kind of looks like it's going back to similar vibes to like Winter Soldier, which is one of the best Marvel movies in my opinion. So we'll see what's going on that. And it looks like we have a new Hulk to contend with as well. So we'll see what adventures lie in Marvel world. And that's what February 14th it comes out. We're going to do dive 3 days later.
And then Grayson, continuing us just doing live streams on holidays in March. Which movie are we watching? It's a new one, maybe with a former Marvel actor who might be coming back.
Former.
I
said
didn't
he
know
might
we
be
had
coming
submitted
back.
this yet,
He's
but
still there.
aren't we doing Daredevil or what are we doing? I forget.
No, this is the Russo brothers' new movie on Netflix.
Oh, that is correct. We are doing The Electric State, Netflix exclusive, which I don't remember if it's having a theatrical run or not, but we will be doing that.
Yeah.
I think it's Netflix exclusive. But like Grayson said, we will be doing Daredevil, much like we've been doing Goosebumps. So stay tuned this week. New Goosebumps review coming live. And David, February is another entry into what series that we've been doing to lead up to what?
That is correct. We are doing our Follow the Yellow Brick Road series, which kicked off with the release of Wicked. We talked about that last month, and we're just kind of diving into all the different classics and spinoffs and such from the wonderful world of Oz leading up to this November when part 2 of Wicked is going to come out. February is going to be our next step on the road towards the Emerald City, and we are going to be covering the very beloved and classic original movie, as well as the first book that started it all. So jump in that tornado and meet us there.
Yeah, lots of stuff from everybody. Should be a busy year, which I'm excited about. As well as Grayson's been building something. I don't know if we can say it yet, but stay tuned. We will let you know.
It is something that is very legend. Wait for it.
Dairy. But yeah, nothing in the work. That is still in the pre-scripting phase, but trying to get that figured out. Going to start filming. You might see some surprise guests, or might be a co-hosted type situation. We'll still working out the details on that, but
it'll be worth the wait.
Let you know. Absolutely.
Yeah, so just stay tuned. We'll definitely keep you updated with everything, and we'll definitely have a place here soon where you can keep track of everyone in one location. So stay tuned for that as well. But for more sports chat, click that link to your left. For more here at Culz Paranormal, including that Wolfman deep dive, click the link to your right. Don't forget to hit the like, give us a subscribe, and let us know your picks for the conference championship weekend in the coming